Come on, Tick. Let's go. Good job. Heel. Good job. Back. All the way back. Good girl. And back again. Good girl. You're so clever. You're so clever. Hi. Today we're going to talk about how you train your dogs force free and why. I started training many years ago, and I never liked the idea of having to use force to train my dogs. I always thought it was very odd that you would want to hurt your best friend to get a result, and I didn't really understand why that was even part of training. Over the years, I have learned more and more about force-free training and how to get the best out of your dogs and any animal really by using other methods that are non-invasive, non-hurtful, and actually beneficial. I particularly like clicker training. That's this little device that you can hear me clicking away here because I'm busy rewarding Tiki, because she's just being awesome and she's being quiet and she's behaving and standing next to me. You can't really see her on the video, but she's here, and we just did the heel demo to show you how good she is. Tiki's an older dog, so she doesn't work as well as she used to, and I don't push her because she's old, and she's also got a very nasty form of cancer called hemangiosarcoma, so she gets tired pretty easily, and I don't push her. We just do this to have fun and work within her limits so that she knows that she's still really important, and I love her to bits. Anyway, so what is the point of doing force-free training as opposed to whipping out your choke chain and dragging your dog around the field? Well, one is the choke chain training, the jerk and pull, ruk and flick, as we call it in this country, force, shock, prong, a shock collar, that is, a prong collar, that is, and if you don't know what a prong collar is, you're blessed, but it's a very much more upgraded kind of choke chain with little spikes inward pointing that really hurt when they pull on the dog. No matter what is said about them, it is a device that causes extreme discomfort. It can actually pierce the skin. There's all sorts of horror stories, but at least worst, it causes extreme discomfort and fear. And now I want you to just take a moment and think back to your worst class at school and how you felt walking into that classroom. You might have hated the teacher. There might have been somebody gross in the class. You might have just hated the actual subject. For me, it was really difficult. I hated history for a very long time. I love it now, but when I was at school, I hated it, and I had a teacher who was really awesome, and she changed my mind about the subject. But I hated science, which I actually really love, and I actually dropped that as a subject because I hated my teacher so much that I just didn't even want to go to class. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to realize how those negative emotions affected your learning, first of all, on a completely non-lovey-dovey scientific level. When you are scaring an animal into listening, it may comply. Okay, we know that if you shout at a dog, it might stop. We know that if you hurt a dog enough, it might stop doing that behavior and perform another behavior that you like. We know that those things are doable, but are they beneficial? Is the dog learning at its optimum? No. Science has proven that when you're in a state of fear, you don't learn as well or as quickly. And when you are in a state of relaxation and happiness and feeling good, you learn quicker and you're more willing to work. So that's number one. Number two is, why do you want to hurt your best friend? You're supposed to get a dog because you love them and you want to have a companion and you enjoy the sport. I find for so many people, dog training is a bind. It's a hassle. It's like an add-on to a thing that they don't even want to do. So before you get a dog, especially if you get a working breed, and just for everybody out there, Labradors, Golden Retrievers, Standard Poodles, Bouviers, those are all working breeds. Remember, they're going to need some training. And we live in a world today that we didn't live in 30, 40 years ago. There's no real relaxation anymore. Everyone's stressed. Everyone is time poor. And if you're going to get a dog, you need to factor in training as part of your daily routine and definitely part of your weekly sport routine. As you would factor in gym or running or whatever sport you liked, if you want a dog, see it as a sport. And see it as a sport where it's going to be kindness and not force. and that is going to involve a lifestyle, and you're going to have a lot of fun training your dog. But what you want to do is make sure that your dog is actually learning because they want to and they're happy. And so everything you can imagine wanting to train your dog, you can train them using force-free methods. There is no time ever that you need to use pain or force for dog training. You may need to suddenly pull your dog back out of the road if there's traffic coming, or grab him by the tail if he's about to leap into a fire. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the moments when you are training them to do things or living with them day to day, and how you don't need to be using pain to train your dog. You don't need to be looking at things like pack theory and alpha and dominance and leader of the pack. What you need to be looking at is science and training and learning theory and how animals learn and how people learn too, and the psychology behind it. What is finally really my most favorite thing about using force-free to train is that you don't need all of these tools. You might just need a clicker and some treats. You can use your voice and some treats. You don't necessarily need fancy gimmicky leads, fancy gimmicky harnesses, shock collars and remotes. You don't need to have a whole range of things. You need a lead and a harness. A treat bag's ideal, but pockets work. And you just need your dog. And you don't even need to be touching your dog for most of the exercises. Most of the heel that I teach free, off-lead heel without even a lead. So it's actually something where a lot of people will start training and they'll be quite resistant to using a clicker or using a marker because they feel like it's an add-on to what they already have to do with all these things. But it's not. It's actually making your life easier, and you're going to need less things. And as you can see in my short little recall video, those recalls are taught 100% force-free, no shock collars, no remotes. So we're going to break down this one step at a time, and we're going to start off with understanding that you do not need force to train. So if you're using pain and force to train, that is a choice. That's a choice. You have chosen to willingly hurt an animal that you're supposed to love in order to get what you want, instead of choosing a method that is kinder and better, because there is no point in time where you have to use force ever. And I challenge anybody to ask me to train my dog to do something without force, and within their physical capabilities, obviously, that they think we can't train.